Hello and welcome to I Can't Believe It's Not the Mouse, the podcast all about animation not made by the mouse. I'm your host, Octaviano, and this is more of a quick update type of video. I know I've been busy. As you can see, I have a whole thing going on around here that's not just me being lazy and messy. I mean, it is me being messy, but that's because I've been trying to do a short film. I don't think I've shared much on it on here before, but I have been wanting to do a stop motion thing. You can see some of that right in here. So yeah, it's definitely been a while, and that's the main reason why I figured that I can do a little thing here and there every now and then just to kind of keep this going while that's taking place. So that's what this is. I'm not just doing an update. I will be talking about something in a moment, but that's mainly what I'm doing. I'm working on an animated short. It's about a guy hunting down chupacabras. I hope you'll enjoy it whenever I get it finished. As of this recording, I've only done the opening minutes, and even then, I haven't even finished editing it all together. It's really just something short, simple. Hopefully you enjoy it. Before we get started, I just want to say, if you're listening to this on YouTube, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe to the channel, feel free to comment, and ring the bell for notifications. Also, if you're on Spotify or just any other podcast site, follow this show on those platforms. Now, moving on, I wanted to talk about pretty much a group of movies. So, the upcoming Oscars have already announced what movies are nominated for what categories. I'm not going to go through all of them because this is not that kind of show, but I did want to talk about the choices for Best Animated Feature, because of course this is a show about animation. I think it's a pretty good selection of movies. I do think there is one weak link of the bunch, but I'll get to that in a bit. Up front, I've seen 4 of the 5 as of this recording. So, for that, I will have to say that I'm not going to talk about Memoir of a Snail. I've heard it's a good movie. I can't say anything on it since I haven't seen it. As a result, I won't be discussing that. If I ever do watch it anytime soon, I'll probably do an episode on it just so you can get an idea. Basically, an update on this. So, that leaves the other nominees for me to talk about. First up, I want to say that the one that's likely to win based on how many awards it's been winning, probably going to be Flow. For those of you who are unaware of this movie, it's an animated feature from Latvia. I hope I'm saying that right. Where it's mostly silent. You have a cat and a group of other animals that find themselves in this situation where they're on a boat trying to survive with each other as this rising tide keeps on taking everything within the forest. It's a very interesting movie. I remember watching this one a few months ago. It's all about survival. You, of course, get a sense of how this is about our current climate crisis going on. It's a very good movie, and I do highly recommend it. If you get a chance to watch it in a theater, you should definitely go out to see it. If you can't find any option to watch it, it is a very good movie. Not my personal favorite. It's not the one I'd pick to win, but if this is the winner, just like it has been winning in many other shows, I'd be fine with that. One, it's a foreign feature, so it's kind of cool to see more foreign features, especially ones that are outside of like the usual countries that we see, which is like Japan or even England, win. And it'd just be cool to see a silent feature, essentially a silent feature, win the award. I feel like that kind of stuff is, there's a lot of amazing stuff if this wins that I'm like, look, even if I don't love it as much as, they do, I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine with that win. After that, we also have Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Bowls Foul. Not as good as Curse of the Rare Rabbit. I'm going to say that up front. But I mean, it's Wallace and Gromit. Everything they do is good, and this is no exception. I do think it has some stuff that makes it a little off. Some of it might be just because it's a different voice actor for Wallace. Unfortunately, Peter Sallis has passed away, so he, of course, was not going to be able to come back for this. And as a result, I got someone else to do the voice. For what I'll say, he does a really good job as Wallace. I do think that, most of the time I can't even notice that it's not him, but there are moments where it's like, okay, there's something a little off here and I can't put my finger on it. I'm assuming it's mainly because it's my brain picking up that it's not the same person, but it could be something else. That's just a thing that sticks out to me. For those of you who are unaware of what this movie is, of course, it released on Netflix. Wallace and Gromit is a pretty beloved franchise. Generally speaking, it's a man with a dog. The man invents stuff. His mute dog basically has to react based on it because it often leads to trouble, and that's generally what the shorts and movies have been. This one is no exception. And this one, though, is the first time that we've done like a direct follow-up to any of the stories, because even though it's the second movie, it's also a sequel to one of the shorts, that being probably the most popular of the shorts, The Wrong Trousers, where they get involved with this villainous penguin named Feathers McGraw, who disguises himself as a chicken. It's a whole thing where he wants a jewel. This picks up after that, which I think is part of the reason why it also... I don't want to say it didn't click for me, because I do really love the movie, but it's still just, I don't know, like for me it just was a little weird, just because I'm not used to these stories basically leading into other stories, so it's, again, new territory with this, and as a result you do get a feeling of like, okay, well, now we have to compare this to the short and how well it did that, how well was Feathers McGraw used in both cases. And I don't know, it doesn't necessarily kill my enjoyment of the movie, but it does hurt it a little bit. So I will say, as a result, that's one thing that does weaken this, even though it's a really good movie and it's definitely worth watching. Just seeing Feathers McGraw take his revenge on Wallace and Gromit. It's a commentary on AI, with Wallace inventing this little gnome that pretty much is meant to be like a yard worker that eventually gets hacked into because and also a commentary on how the law works, given that you got a whole subplot involving a police, basically a new recruit to the police force, questioning the methods of the police. And I don't know, it's definitely a fun time. I highly recommend it if you ever want to watch it. It's on Netflix. And then you got The Wild Robot, which is my personal favorite and the one I'd pick for Best Animated Film. I would honestly nominate it for Best Picture as well. Probably give it to that. Honestly, my favorite movie of the year was Hundreds of Beavers, but that's not an animated film. It does have a lot of animated elements, but, not an animated feature. For those of you unaware, Wild Robot is about a robot who finds herself in the wild, hence the name. Basically finds herself in a situation where she has to raise a little duckling. And it kind of works as a companion piece to Flow, because whereas Flow, it's pretty upfront that the environment is going bad. This one's a little more subtle about it. At least it doesn't say it up front to you until you start noticing it, where, like at some point when the little duckling actually matures and starts flying, south, because, that's what ducks do. You see the locales of like the places that it's the duck is passing through, and you do see like, oh wow, there's cities underwater and like everything's been destroyed, and the only thing that's left is like this futuristic society above the water. So it really gives you the idea that climate change has really screwed this world up. Like, and again, they never flat out tell you, but you can see it. And there's even a whole thing where during the winter it gets extremely cold, colder than it's ever been. That's like the closest you ever get to someone even mentioning like, hey, there's something wrong going on around here. But that's not even the focus of the movie. The focus on the movie is the robot and how she reacts to nature itself. And honestly, beautiful movie. Lupita Nyong'o is great in the role of Roz, which is the main robot. She's a good example of what I've been saying for years, which is that the Oscars should include an award for voice acting, because it's just top tier. A top tier performance from her. Like, you really get the emotionless and the emotion out of her, and it's just wonderful stuff. And finally, there's the one weak link in this. And it's not even a movie that I don't like. It's just that it's a movie that I'm like, yeah, I would have replaced that. And it just feels like it's here because it's the obligatory, we got to have a Disney movie on this thing. That being Inside Out 2. And look, I love Inside Out. The first movie is amazing. And that's kind of why Inside Out 2, I don't want to say it's a dud, but it felt kind of flat for me. It does have its moments. I will say that Anxiety is one of the best villains that Pixar has ever produced. I like the fact that she's not really like a villain, like she's not really trying to be evil, but at the same time, she fits that role because she hijacks headquarters and essentially starts antagonizing the main group of characters that we love, all in an effort to make Riley a better person. And as a result, she's kind of making her a worse person. It's very interesting stuff, and I do like when movies try to find new angles to that kind of stuff. That was definitely a highlight for the movie, and I do like how the movie, when it gets emotional, like when it shows you like an anxiety attack, it really nails it really well. That being said, my issue with the movie is that too much of it feels like a repetition of the first movie, and worse is that some of the stuff feels like it's kind of backtracking on some of the stuff from the first movie. Basically, like, this movie is like, okay, so Riley goes to a camp for hockey, and it's all just an effort to basically get her to experience like the next step of her life. She gets some bad news regarding her friends going away. As a result, Anxiety pretty much starts trying to get her some new friends, and it becomes this whole thing where doesn't play so well. Eventually the emotions that we do know from the last movie, like joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger, are arguing against this. This results in them being kicked out of headquarters, and they have to go back to headquarters to fix the thing, which again, that's pretty much the first movie, only this time it's the entire group of characters that were from the first movie, instead of just two of them learning about each other and accepting that all emotions are valid. Which is one thing that I didn't really like about this one, is that even though they don't necessarily kick out Anxiety by the end, it does kind of feel like, okay, we'll keep you around, but you're kind of the bad emotion here, which understandable, but it just feels like you're going against the message of the original. And I would have liked to have seen some way to basically kind of find that right balance of like, look, Anxiety is fine, you just don't have to overdo it, and it never really feels like you get there. I lost the light. Alright, well, I was almost finished anyway, so yeah, as a result, we get this whole thing where it's like, it's going from one area to another, and it never really feels like we're doing anything all that new. Like, we're not visiting a new aspect of the mind like the first one. Like, a lot of it is just like, okay, these are the same areas, now we're just kind of doing like the whole, oh, I was here before, but something about it has changed, which is kind of okay. But I don't know, like I said, it does have its fun moments, and there are really entertaining bits. Like, I do like the whole preschool Dora character that appears. It's funny. The video game stuff is kind of mixed, just because it's kind of funny how they do it, but at the same time, it's very clear that this is someone who, these are people that have never played video games. I don't know. I enjoyed the movie, but it definitely is hurt by a lot of things. Like in the last movie, it had this whole thing where it's like, oh, look, now the emotions are mixing together to make new kind of emotions for the memory orbs. That's not really touched upon in this movie, and it just makes you say like, well, in the last movie, it kind of hinted that that's how you get more complex emotions, and now we're just kind of pushing that aside. Core memories were a thing in the last movie, not even acknowledged in this movie, because we're doing this sense of self, which is essentially the same thing, just a new, different thing. This was the whole movie. It's like, it's the thing that we're introducing, but it's not the thing that is from the first movie, and as a result, it's a retread while also backtracking. It's a complete mess. Personally, if it were me, this is the one movie that I would replace just to have something else. Transformers 1 was a really good movie. I've talked about that before on the show, and I would like to talk about it again in more detail. If that wasn't it, you could have also done The Day the Earth Blew Up, which is the Looney Tunes movie that Warner Bros. Said no to, but, you know, thankfully was saved. Just a really funny comedy, or just something else that I haven't even seen that was good. Like, you know I could easily replace My Marvelous Snail because that's the movie that I haven't seen, but I just feel that that's unfair. Maybe it's not even as good as Inside Out 2. I don't know. I kind of doubt that, but, you know, it wouldn't be fair to me to rule that one out. And even then, the reason why I'm more comfortable with Inside Out 2, aside from the fact that I have watched it and I don't love it, is just because Disney's always getting into this award ceremony. You can let other things go, and there's really nothing that this winning would really offer other than here's another Pixar win. So yeah, that's my general thing. But, you know, in fairness, it is not a bad movie. It isn't like Brave. It isn't, you know, they could have easily nominated Moana 2. And, you know, while I don't think that's a bad movie either, it's definitely the one that's a lot messier. And as much as I enjoyed it, I definitely felt like, yeah, this one definitely should have been left in the back burner for a while. Inside Out 2, I mean, you know, it's a I wouldn't say a misfire, but it's closer to a misfire than not. But at the very least, when it nails something like the villain and the emotions, it works. So yeah, that's just a quick summary. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you again next time, hopefully with better lights, and hopefully I can do a little bit more. But again, thank you for watching. I'll see you again next time. Thanks for stopping by. Go ahead and follow this channel. Subscribe, like and comment, ring the bell for notifications. Go ahead and also follow my podcast and give some love to my Patreon account while you're at it. It's www.patreon.com/saicams. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you come back for more in the future.